Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video to listen to me talk about all of my favourite things in each of the Disney parks. When I was asking for like things you want to know about our next trip to Disney World, which is next month, I'll link that video in case you want to watch it. Someone suggested we do like a top 10 per park. I wrote some things down. I don't think there's 10. There might be more for some, less for others. But I just thought this would be a nice excuse for me to talk about all the things I'm just excited to go back to, like by park. So let's go. So if you've watched my previous videos or follow me on Instagram, you'll know we're going back to Walt Disney World next month, and I'm so excited. We're going for a week, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to, I think the biggest thing is just being in the Disney bubble. Like there's no feeling like it. I thought we could start with Magic Kingdom because whenever I think Disney World, I think Magic Kingdom, and I've written some things down. I got my hair done this morning, like loads of it cut off, and I'm just a bit like, wow, like looking at myself like, is this me? I do this every time. I let it go to probably like here, and then I'm like, cut it all off, and I do after like a few days, like I feel myself again. Once I've had it cut. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's start with Magic Kingdom. The first thing I can think of when someone says like, what is your favourite thing in Magic Kingdom? It's not like the rides or certain snacks, it's not any shops, it is simply that walk down Main Street when you get in. Like the walk down Main Street, seeing that castle and just being like, we're here, like this, it's just the best feeling ever. So I love Main Street, I love the castle, I love the hub grass, and I think that's a big thing that I love about Walt Disney World versus Disneyland Paris. The castle in Paris is beautiful, but I love like the hub grass areas of Walt Disney World, and the fact you can sit there, enjoy a snack, maybe just down a load of water and just watch the world go by. I'm just soaking the atmosphere. That is what I'm most excited to go back to, the atmosphere. Other things include extra magic time, having a Starbucks breakfast and sitting, because it's dead quiet, on the tables outside of Starbucks and just taking it in. Again, the atmosphere, the music's on, people are kind of hustling to where they want to go, and people are taking pictures in front of the castle. It's not super busy. The weather is usually just that morning kind of, especially if it's your like first morning or even last morning. On our last trip we went to Magic Kingdom for like the last few hours of our trip, which was a morning, and just sitting there with my everything bagel and my Starbucks drink and just being like, we've had the best trip, this place is amazing, it's my favourite. On the theme of food, we cannot talk through this without talking about Gaston's Tavern and those cinnamon rolls. They're the size of your head, you can share them, ask for extra icing, that's what my friend Emma from Brummy Mummy of 2 always says, and she's right. It was one of those snacks that even Nick was like, we need to go and get that. And there are very few things in life, to be honest, where Nick will be like, I really enjoyed that, I want it again. So I think we had it twice on our last trip. It's just the best. If you haven't tried LeFou's brew, it's definitely worth trying. I didn't actually like it as much on my last trip as I did when we had it on, I think it was our first trip in like 2016, so it is a while ago. But it's still really nice, and you can get like the souvenir cup, which is always a nice little souvenir to take home. I seem to have put a couple of other food items on here. Who's shocked? Not me. Popcorn, which sounds like a really obvious thing, like, oh yeah, it's just popcorn, cool, but like Disney popcorn hits differently, and I will not hear anything else about it. We see people recommending the popcorn buckets, and I have always just been like, oh, who wants to carry that around? Like, the popcorn's just popcorn. Is it even that good of a deal? When we went to Disney World last year and when we went to Disneyland after our wedding in January, we bought popcorn buckets on both trips. Like, I almost wish we'd have just took our Walt Disney World one to LA with us, because it is a really good deal. I think it's like $12 or maybe $13 for your bucket with the popcorn, and then the refills are less than $3 if I remember right. I don't know. Ends up being, I think, like a cheap, cost-effective snack. And that popcorn is so good, and just thinking of sitting on Main Street, either waiting for a parade or just doing a bit of people watching while you're cramming your face with popcorn, there's no better feeling. A lot of you will be sat here saying cheeseburger, spring rolls. If she doesn't say them, then there's something wrong. and I'm actually not going to say them. Nick did really enjoy the spring rolls. I wasn't as bothered. I like the chicken pot stickers, or whatever they call them over there. They were great, and I will definitely be getting them again. Rides in Magic Kingdom, I of course love Big Thunder and I love Space Mountain, but my heart is in Paris for those rides. If you've ridden them in Paris, you will know both of them are better over there. They just hit different, especially with Space Mountain being hyperspace. I just find the vehicle that you kind of go around the ride in more comfortable, and Big Thunder, I don't know what it is about the one in Paris. To me it seems longer. I have no idea if it actually is, but yeah, I've not been back to Disneyland Paris since like the start of 2020, and there's an itch that needs to be scratched. Rides that I do always look forward to, however, a Buzz Lightyear, like Space Ranger Spin. Like, it's such a classic. I know it's not like, you know, reinventing the wheel, but I love the rides that I can go head to head with Nick in. I get beat every single time, although last time I do think I won one, but he just seems to be so good at anything like that. Does anyone else have another half that's just like so good at stuff like that? I love that ride. I always make sure we ride it multiple times on a trip. It's just, we love Toy Story, and I just love it. And then some of you will be sat here being like, what the actual hell? Like, I don't think you can call these out. People Mover, which actually has a very big fan base behind it, and I think a lot of people are like, you know what, the People Mover is great if you want to sit and, you know, chill on a ride, people watch. I don't really know how else to explain the People Mover. It just moves you around, but I do really enjoy that. And the Carousel of Progress. If I need some aircon and I need to sit and chill, I'm going to the Carousel of Progress. I am hoping, or I feel like Tron would be on this list, but it's only opened recently. Obviously I've not ridden it, so it's not on there yet. And I think that's everything for Magic Kingdom. The main things for me are, like, when I think Walt Disney World, I think Magic Kingdom. And it's not necessarily that I think Magic Kingdom is the best park, I just think it's the most like magical park. And that walk down Main Street, photos in front of the castle, I love the shops on Main Street and mooching in and out of those. Moving on to Epcot and keeping it, I guess, away from the obvious of walking around the different pavilions and seeing it all kind of change as you go in and out of each country. I think my favourite thing is Guardians. I love Guardians, but the first time I rode it, I didn't really get it, and I was just a bit like, oh, is that it? I think it was to the point that I even went on Instagram stories and was like, we've ridden it, I'm not really sure. We had a lightning lane but also a virtual queue, so we got to ride it twice, and I'm so glad we did, because the second time I was like, oh, I get this, like, actually this is a really good ride. And I really like the element of, like, I think there's 6 songs and obviously you don't know what you're gonna get. It's just, it is such a good ride, and I think it's what Epcot needed. Like, it needed a bit of a thrill ride. Keeping the theme of rides, you can't go to Epcot. You can't have a full day at Epcot without Test Track and Soarin'. For me, they are like 2 classics. I love them. Like, yes, you can go and ride Remy's and you can go and jump on Frozen Ever After, both great rides, but Test Track, Soarin', love them. Last year we had the luxury of the Skyliner from our resort to Epcot, which meant we went a little bit more, and we really fell in love with the American Garden Theatre, like within the American Pavilion. Sitting there with, you know, your Fanta, always a Fanta, a funnel cake or popcorn. I think you'll realise from this video that I love popcorn. Sitting there and just whatever acts are on and just enjoying it and soaking it up is what I really loved. I also loved being able to just hop over there in the evenings, get food, and we did like rock, paper, scissors for like starter, main, dessert, which I really enjoyed. So we were able to do that, and I think that Epcot's a really nice place to do that, because there are so many kind of booths and whatever that have like little snack bits. We are not foodies, so when I find a restaurant that I like, it goes on the list, okay? And when I say we're not foodies, I've said this before, but I in particular do not have like a sophisticated palate. I probably have the palate of like a 5-year-old, and even then that's probably mean to 5-year-olds. But the restaurant going on my list is Katsura Grill in the Japanese pavilion. It's quick service. They do a really nice like katsu kind of curry. It's really, really good. Because I don't shop about popcorn, I of course have a popcorn recommendation for you at Epcot. If you have your refillable popcorn bucket, you can get yourself maple popcorn in the Canadian Pavilion, and it's lush. I think it's one of the only places that you can get your bucket filled up with anything other than like the normal popcorn, which is still good, as we know. I'm a popcorn fan over here, but if you want something different and something really nice as well, the maple popcorn from Canada. I feel like I'm going to say this about every park, but I feel like it truly is just like wandering around, soaking up the atmosphere, getting on the rides you like, seeing the shows you like, the experiences you want to do, eating whatever you fancy, you're on holiday, you know, enjoying the heat, which we have not got here. That's, I think, for me is what makes it. And whether you're in Magic Kingdom or Epcot, it will be slightly different as to like what you enjoy or the vibe. But I think in the past I've like knocked Epcot a bit and been like, man, I don't really get it, like, but I think being on that Skyliner route, staying at Pop Century last year, made us really appreciate like Epcot completely. And especially, we do park hop a lot, and the Skyliner really made that like even nicer, like in the sense that you could just go to Epcot for like 2 hours at the end of the day and it didn't feel like an absolute mission. Moving on to Hollywood Studios, which is just a park that just makes me happy. I don't know what it is. In fact, no, I do know what it is. The theming is great, and also they've done so much to it over the last few years that I think it's a park that has like the best rides in a small amount of things. Does that make sense? No, probably not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they've got the most good rides in that small space. Best rides per park? I don't know. For God's sake. That being said, I do think there is the potential to wait around a lot at Hollywood Studios, or it feels like that. If you're wanting to ride Slinky Dog, you want to do Tower of Terror, you want to do Smuggler's Run, I can't even speak, Smuggler's Run, you know, if you're wanting to do all of these rides, you're probably going to be waiting around a while. So my recommendation is stacking Genie Plus. Now this won't work for everyone. Some people won't want to be on their phone, or they hate Genie Plus, or they refuse to pay more. On our last trip, and it might not work on this trip, but on our last trip we found it so valuable to buy Genie Plus in the morning and then every 2 hours book another ride. So it meant that when we were going in at like 2-3 p.m. we had like 4 rides stacked. So we were going on normally Slinky Dog at like 6 p.m. because it was one of the later ones, but we'd have like Tower of Terror done. We might even have I don't know, the Buzz, it's not Buzz, is it? It's like Woody's version of the guns. I don't know why that name's gone out of my head, but you know what I mean, like we'd have them stacked, so we weren't necessarily having to spend a lot of time in the queues. But let's get into my favourite things about Hollywood Studios, and the first thing is the theming of Toy Story Land. If you're a Toy Story fan, or I feel like if you grew up or you were born around like, I'd say like if you were born in the 90s, you're probably a Toy Story fan. I'm a 1993 baby and I just love everything about Toy Story. Just so much. Toy Story Land has some incredible theming, from looking up and seeing things to down on the floor and seeing Andy's big footprint. Like, the attention to detail I think is great. Even like when you go into the toilets, you're like, oh, this is so well done. Like, it's so good. And even if you like aren't wanting to go on the rides, or you know it's fairly busy and you can't get on the rides, just soaking up all of that is amazing. And sticking with that area, Woody's Lunchbox is one of my favourite places to eat on property. We ate there for the first time last year, and I think we ate there twice because I was like, we have to go back. I need that grilled cheese. I had the grilled cheese, tater tots and soup one night. I think the tomato soup is so good. It's the ultimate comfort food, and it's so strange that something so basic is what I'm sat here being like, I can't wait to have this on our next trip. And I think our first like full day, that night, I've penciled it in. Tower of Terror will always be a favourite for me, even though my ultimate favourite one is in Disneyland or DCA with the Guardians overlay. I just have so much time with Tower of Terror, regardless of the park. I think Hollywood Studios does shows really well. So we haven't done the Muppets one for years, so someone let me know if that's rubbish or not, because I do want to do it next month, I think, because we've not done it for so long. But I love the Indiana Jones show. We did that on our last trip, and it's just so good. I don't care what people say. And the other one is Frozen. Like, the quality of that show, it's just so funny. Kids can watch it, adults are in on the jokes. Like, I can't wait. And I've been trying to think like what else is in Hollywood Studios I can like pull out. Again, I think it's just the vibe of walking around there. One thing I really enjoyed last time was like grabbing like an ice cream, which you can get in any of the parks, and a Sprite or a Coke, and just sitting watching the world go by, getting a Starbucks, watching the world go by. It's a good part for people watching, particularly on that kind of stretch where Tower of Terror is at the end. Great people watching location. But a snack that I think of and that makes me think of Hollywood Studios is the Mickey pretzel, because one morning I had the very healthy breakfast of a Mickey pretzel with a plastic cheese. You have to have it with a refill of popcorn, and it was just the best. I'm very fussy, as we know, with food, especially breakfast, because I don't really eat bacon, I don't like egg, really does restrict me. Nick had a Ronto wrap, I think, and I was just like, I want a pretzel. It's what I had and I loved it, and I sat. Like, I do think there are, I guess one of the bad things about Hollywood Studios is I don't think there's loads of like seating undercover in certain areas of the park, but I just remember being like in the sun, probably sweating, eating two of my favourite snacks and thinking like, we're here, and just, yeah, people watching. People watching is my favourite thing. Seems like quite an expensive trip to go and people watch when you could, I mean, I could do that sat at home, but you know. And the last park is Animal Kingdom, and I'm telling you, I've had a love-hate relationship with this park. Like, if you ask me some days, I'll be like, I love it, it's my favourite, and then other days I'll be like, I just think it's a bit naff. And I don't know if anyone else is either like committed to like a top, you know, your rating of the parks, or if you're like me that's like, one day I'll be like, oh god, I really miss Epcot, or one day I'll be like, god, I wish I was sat in Magic Kingdom, and another I might be like, do you know what, I really wish I was on that safari in Animal Kingdom. So Animal Kingdom in particular has been, like, for a while it was bottom park, but I don't know, I feel like every time I go I'm like, oh, do I love it, do I not? But these are my favourite things. Number one is Dinosaur. I'm not saying that is the number one thing, but I wrote it first on my list, and I think it's because we'd never ridden it before, and we did it on our, like, for the first time on our last trip, and I said to Nick, how the have we not done this before? Like, it is so funny, it was so much fun, it's such a good ride, and I was like, how have we been wandering around Animal Kingdom and not ridden that ride? So it has to go on the list. In the theme of rides, I love Everest. I'm like very much like a classic roller coaster kind of gal, and that does tick the boxes for me when you go backwards. Hope that doesn't spoil it for anyone. It's just really, really good, and oh, what a ride. However, my all-time favourite ride at a Disney park, because I do have one at Universal that I think I prefer. However, my favourite Disney ride is Flight of Passage, and I know that'll be a lot of people's, and rightly so. I think Rise of Resistance may have tipped it over for some people, but I'm a Flight of Passage girly. I absolutely love that ride. There is just something so special about it. I don't know what it is, like, it genuinely takes my breath away still. I mean, you know, we've had it for a good few years now, but the technology is still like, oh, I love it so much. Sticking with the Avatar theme, that area of Animal Kingdom is breathtaking, and I don't like that. Does that sound dramatic? Probably, but it's true. In the day, it's amazing. At night, it is incredible. So I recommend you do both. It's just madness. And I haven't even seen Avatar because I'm not sitting through a film that long twice. Now there's two. But even I can appreciate that it is just amazing. If I was doing this video before we went on our last trip, I would have had Yak and Yeti, like the quick service on here. But we had it on our last trip, and we were just like, oh, like it just didn't hit. So I don't know whether it was having like an off day, but we're probably not going to give it another chance. So that would have been on there. However, the one thing I tell you, which is on here, which will surprise nobody because this is probably one of our favourite things ever, is, drum roll please, that was a good drum roll, frozen Coke. And I know if you're Aussie in particular, you'll be like, man, I was going to do an Aussie accent, but no, I'm not going to. You'll be saying you can get it for like $1 at Burger King and all of the places. And I know, because I've been, and we drank a lot of it. But there's something about a frozen Coke at Animal Kingdom from that little kiosk that I can't even explain where it is. If you know, you know. And it's like, it's the Coca-Cola kiosk, and you get your frozen Coke, and the only issue is paper straws, so bring your own. Other things outside of the parks that I think deserve a mention include Blaze Pizza at Disney Springs. I know this isn't just like a Disney thing, and when we were at Disneyland, we went off property to get a Blaze, but Blaze Pizza is just so good. If you know, you know. I like to get the deal where it's like half a pizza and half a garlic bread. I never eat it all, but I give it a good go and it tastes so good. I love World of Disney that's in Disney Springs. There is just something about a huge bloody Disney store that makes me really, really happy. The walls of t-shirts, the walls of ears, like, oh, I just love it. I love mooching, and on my last trip, I think it was the NFL that was on, I left Nick watching it and I was like, I'm going to World of Disney, I'll see you later, and I had a great old time. My only like bugbear about that store, understandably, it gets so busy, so try and avoid it at weekends especially. My heart will forever be with Typhoon Lagoon. We both just love that, and we've been to Blizzard Beach and yeah, fine, but we just love Typhoon Lagoon. We're doing H2O nights on our next trip and I am so excited. I would spend so much time there if we can, and to be honest, we can, because we can do what we want. It's our holiday. So on our next trip, we've definitely got like a day there before we've got something in the evening, and then we've got an evening there for that event, and to be honest, we may end up there a bit more. And on the theme of being in the water, I just love our resort pool. Like, it's funny because, you know, a good few years ago I was very much like anti water parks and going in the pool if I don't like it, but actually I just didn't like the way my body looked, and I now feel so good in that, like, my body is genuinely the least interesting thing about me, and I've done so much work mentally on it that I will put on that bloody bathing suit, swimming costume, and I will thrash about in the water because I enjoy it and I deserve to be happy. Honourable mentions also, I think, go out to like the mini golf, which is included in your ticket. Just make sure you check like the terms and conditions on like times and stuff you can go, but that's always really, really good. And probably resort hopping as well. We've not done loads of this, but there is nothing nicer than taking a stroll in someone else's resort and just being like, oh, could we stay here? What do we think? One thing I do want to do more of when we're away is the resorts near Magic Kingdom, and just like getting on the boat or the monorail and just having a little mooch. I also really, really want to go to the boardwalk because we've still not been to the boardwalk, and I want to be in a position where I can be doing one of these videos in the future, like honourable mention to the boardwalk, it's the best. Now, we've been to Beaches and Cream on our second trip for my birthday. It was so good, but that was it. Like, we didn't even go out and even entertain like the boardwalk or that area. How stupid. How much you learn being like within like Disney Instagram and watching a lot of vlogs. I mean, why didn't we even know about that? Also, the boardwalk is really, really close to obviously Epcot, Skyline, back to our resort. It's a no-brainer. If you watch my vlogs when I post them and I didn't go to the boardwalk, please message me and shout at me, basically. I think that's everything. I just really wanted to use this video as an excuse to like talk about all my favourite things at Disney. Let me know what yours are, because I will have definitely missed things out, and you will comment things and I'll be like, oh my god, yes, I love that too. I also really want to know, we don't typically do a lot of shows or things that like maybe on like rides. Like normally we're like, rides, go go go, snack, let's have a snack, let's go and ride a ride. So except for like Frozen and Indiana Jones, we don't really sit and do shows. Obviously gonna do Fantasmic. That should be on the Hollywood Studios list. We're gonna do Fantasmic this time now that it's back. I love it so much. I'm really, really happy. But yeah, any shows, sit down things, you let me know. Otherwise, that was my list of favourite things. So yeah, let me know what your favourites are. Thank you for watching. I need some video ideas for the next couple of weeks, because I'm going to upload every Sunday until we go away. So let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. And that's it. Bye.